Welcome back. US Vice President J.D. Vance has sparked controversy with sharp criticism of the UK and Europe, claiming free speech and democracy are in retreat. He was speaking at the Munich Security Conference, where he accused Britain of backsliding on civil liberties, citing the arrest of anti-abortion activists praying silently in her head, and new restrictions on public demonstrations. Here's a short snapshot of what he had to say.
I've heard a lot about what you need to defend yourselves from, and of course that's important. But what has seemed a little bit less clear to me, and certainly I think to many of the citizens of Europe, is what exactly it is that you're defending yourselves for.
That's strong words there, but Vice President Vance also linked immigration to rising security concerns and warned European leaders they're ignoring voter demands. But are his claims fair, or is he misrepresenting Britain? I'm joined now by Republican strategist and founder of FreePressFail.com, Corinne Clark. Corinne, thank you very much for joining me. What do you make of the Vice President's words there? Do you think free speech is in retreat in Europe, and particularly the UK?
I definitely think that he was making a great point that has been a big topic of discussion. This actually reminds me of a viral video, I think last week, with Piers Morgan and Tucker Carlson discussing the same thing. What is it that you won World War II for if you cannot speak freely in your own country, if you cannot defend your own borders? I think this is something America is dealing with as well. So he's not just singling out the UK or Europe, but there are definitely some issues with free speech. And a lot of people are wondering, what is the freedom that we're defending if you can't even share your opinion without being thrown in jail?
Yeah. I think there's been a lot of criticism of the United States, particularly under the previous presidency, because many of the big tech companies led the way, you could argue, in censoring information and facts. Perhaps Europe feels that it needed to abide by that Biden presidency and the precedent that it set during that period of time. Would you agree with that?
It's a possibility. I do think that Britain has gone even a little bit farther than social media censorship. I think J.D. Vance actually referenced a case where someone in the UK was arrested for praying outside of an abortion clinic. And that is something that happened in the United States, too. It just went to the Supreme Court. It's a huge, huge problem. And that does need to be addressed here. But I'm not sure if they were taking Biden's note or if this is just a growing issue among Western nations in general, not really Biden particularly, but just a problem with Western democracies. And I think it's been building up over the last 30 to 40 years. And Trump and J.D. Vance have been strong against that. And hopefully the UK will follow and we'll see some freedom return to the UK as well.
Yeah, well, that lady who was arrested, by the way, was acquitted of all charges in the end. And, I do agree, broadly speaking, with what J.D. Vance had to say. I do feel that many Brits feel that their freedom of speech has at least been under attack in some form since at least the last 8 months or so. Is Donald Trump going to be the guy that says, actually, Europe, if you don't do something about these free speech policies, we're going to put tariffs on you? He's potentially putting them on other countries for lesser things. Do you feel that Donald Trump would intervene in European social policy by using the force of America?
Positive that would be his move, though he does love economic tariffs as a negotiation tactic. So it's not off the table completely. But I think first, what we're trying to do is encourage people to rise up against these policies that are just terrible for their nations. And, he did single out the UK, but it's not just the UK. Romania canceled an election saying that, Facebook ads were influencing people too much. And that kind of thing is happening. That's even worse than what the UK is dealing with. And he did bring up all of those issues, too. So I think it is something this administration is bringing attention to. And I hope that they're encouraging the people in those nations to put pressure on their politicians and to make some real change like we are doing here in America.
Yeah, we're talking a little bit about the Ukraine war later on in the show today. But, Trump is already facing a lot of pushback from European leaders. Is there a concern by, the vice president or the president perhaps, or maybe even Republicans in general, that Europe is not going to listen to Trump, or they've learnt how to deal with him since 2016 and will push back heavily on him, and perhaps that will drive Europe away from America? Is there a concern about that?
I don't really know if Europe has the upper hand in that kind of negotiation. They can play hardball if they would want to, but I think that our economy is stronger in the end. The world needs America more than America needs the rest of the world. So I think they're going to play hard. I know that Trump is not popular overseas and that's fine with us. Trump is always going to put America first, and that is what he will do with this war in Ukraine. We are not Ukraine. This is not our war. And I think he's going to be tough on Europe and make that clear. So we'll see what kind of games come out of that. But I do not worry that there will be major retaliation from Europe.
Yeah. Do you think JD Vance is a better face and voice, perhaps, to, give this message to Europeans? Maybe he's a little less, what's what I'm looking for? Maybe perhaps outspoken or aggressive in his tone. He seems to put it in much more political terms, so to speak. Do you think he's a better face to deliver these kind of messages, Connie?
He's a different face. So that always is helpful when there are strong opinions against our president. So he's a fresh face to offer those ideas. But what we love about this administration is they are on the same page. He's not offering some different playbook. He is offering the America First agenda. And if they want to hear it from JD Vance rather than Trump, that's fine with Trump, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, they seem to be getting along relatively well, but Trump has already said that he's not backing yet JD Vance as his successor. Do you think that JD Vance is now out to make a name for himself by being quite strong and, appealing to that MAGA base abroad as well?
4 years is such a long time. I think it's smart to not put all your eggs in one basket at this point. But JD Vance has done a terrific job. I think he is close with President Trump and he is pushing forward President Trump's agenda. If he continues down that path, I think he will remain very popular with the MAGA base. Okay. But, you never know.
Corinne Clark, thank you so much. Republican strategist and founder of Free Press Fail, Corinne Clark there joining us.